Interested in paranormal, if you're interested in the supernatural, if you're interested in cryptozoology, there's probably no greater time to be alive than right now. When I was growing up, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we had to basically wait for shows like In Search Of to be on TV. We had the speculative work of the X-Files, which blended basically concepts of things that could exist with a fictional narrative. And today, because of YouTube, because of TikTok, because of Instagram, because of all the other medium that we have that we can access, there's almost so much information that you can spend all day researching, looking up stuff, and basically getting our fill of information in relation to these areas. One of the things that we like to do, because we're only a small little teeny tiny part of this world, is to encourage you to use other sites' databases, because people like AUAR and BFRO and other investigative websites have done all the hard work. They've done all the field research. They've busted themselves. That's not what we're about. We're not about comparing ourselves to anybody else. In fact, I think we exist to encourage them to continue to do the good work that they do. What Christian Cryptozoology and Paranormal Study Group exists to do is to take the stories that people tell us, the ministry opportunities that we've been involved in, particularly around deliverance and cleansing and prayer, and also things that we have just walked into. So we can be a highly reactive ministry as well, because some of the things that happen to us, we walk into without really planning to have that experience, or we turn up somewhere to do one thing, like when we took the students out to the outback, and while we're there, have a completely different experience, which then makes its way to this forum. But what I did want to bring up are the ethics of trying to uphold the narrative. And when I say the ethics of trying to uphold the narrative, I mean when there's a particular framework that exists around a phenomenon, and that has to be upheld at all costs, because that's the narrative of the organisation, that's the narrative of the TV show, their producers, their advertisers, that's the narrative of whoever has the most influence or power in the area of the actual program or website. The great danger in this is that the truth gets held back because of the narrative. A true investigation will look at itself in the mirror and say, is this even real? Is this stuff actually happening? Applying null hypothesis and going, these are the things that we've found, but do they actually make sense? Are they coherent? Are they scientifically plausible in terms of actually being something supernatural? And so we, being a Christian organisation, believe absolutely that the Bible's a supernatural book and that God does supernatural things. So we're certainly able to view things from that perspective. But when we look at things, including the house that I prayed at not that long ago, the first steps are always trying to do away with the fact that this could be supernatural or that this could be paranormal. What are the aspects of this that are real and could just be psychological? They could just be misunderstood, and not trying to sensationalize it to bring in the numbers. And that's conversely the danger of having so much access to so much information and being able to put so much stuff out there, is that it's a numbers game. On TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, things are monetized. Yeah, my daughter's an influencer, and I've watched how what she does can directly and indirectly influence her own mental health, can influence how she feels about herself, can influence how people react to her, and eventually you end up following the narrative that gets you the most likes. You end up following the narrative that brings you the most attention, and you end up then having at times to sort of be in conflict with other researchers by having to say that we have the best content, we have the best method, we have the best stories, we're the ones that hold the truth. And I think from 20 years of sort of having some pretty in-depth conversations with people that run some of these websites, that conflict's unhealthy. Like, we should actually be working together and saying, well, you have this strength and you have this strength. thank you for the work you've done in the past, but you need to also help people come into the present and future to do this stuff as well. So all I want to raise today was, like, let's make sure that we consider the ethics of trying to uphold the narrative at the expense of the truth, and that when the truth comes out, being humble enough to actually lay down what we do and say, you know what, maybe this was embellished, maybe this was exaggerated, maybe I upheld a narrative that I shouldn't have because we were trying to hold this back. And some of the investigators I've spoken to have been actually confronted by the authorities and told directly to let their research go and to not continue with that narrative. And so there's pressure there as well. And being the motorcycle club, I understand the pressures of having external forces and government agencies coming in and asking you not to participate in things anymore, I guess to uphold their narrative and what they're trying to achieve. So from a Christian perspective, we want to see people bless each other. We want to see people be unified in even in looking closely at things that we might not understand from our own perspective and our own narrative, and go, well, no matter what happens, I need to consider what you're telling me. I need to consider the information that you have gathered, what your eyewitnesses say or what your investigation demonstrated, and I need to just sit back and I just need to consider that before I speak or think about what it is. So that's what we wanted to say today. Just make sure that we uphold our ethics, and to a degree that we uphold each other, because everyone's doing different work for a reason, and everyone becomes good at what they specifically do. So God bless, be ethical, and if the narrative is holding back the truth, get rid of the narrative and bring back the truth. God bless.